Most men don't consciously choose the life they're living. They inherit it through family, through environment, through whatever worked when they were younger. The past explains how you got here, and the future keeps applying pressure. But neither of those is where your power lives. Your power is here and now. And if you don't reclaim it in the present, you'll keep living a life that technically works, but costs you more every year. Welcome to The Man in Motion, Episode 3. How did we get here? Inheritance, adaptation, and the cost of what worked. I'm Bob. This is a show about what it means to be a man in today's world, navigating real life with strength, purpose, and clarity. No hype, no hacks, no fixing yourself, just awareness, responsibility, and choosing direction while you're already in motion. No excuses, ever forward. Every version of you was solving a problem. See, men were problem solvers. And it's not a mindset, it's biological, it's hardwired into us. We're built to assess threat, to adapt, and to stabilize our environment. We default to fixing, and that's one of the biggest places we differ from women. Women default to feeling, and we default to fix. This is how we've evolved over thousands, hundreds of thousands, and millions of years, right? Because at its heart, adaptation rewards competence. The best adaptations are the ones that get passed on. And survival creates patterns very fast. So if that's the default, then making better choices is the work. See, we're not stuck with our default settings. We're not destined to be just living adaptation. When you're younger, everyone's told, oh, you can be anything you want, you can be anything you want. But realistically, you didn't have unlimited options. You had constraints, whether they were economical or social or just what you were exposed to. And that's what you adapted to, right? The survival adaptations happen quick. And they don't ask permission because you're just trying to cope with a situation. So you learn what keeps the peace, what gets you the approval, what avoids pain, and what keeps these things moving, right? Because something that promotes peace might not necessarily promote health. And this avoidance, it tends to mask itself as maturity, and just keep it moving can become an identity. Silence might have solved the problem. Control might have solved the problem. Humor, responsibility, toughness, none of it was random. And none of it was weakness. These were intelligent responses to whatever that situation was, right? And it worked, right? It worked. It got you through the situation. So of course, it must be my thing. It must be how it is. It must be how I am, right? And it becomes a strategy long before we ever think to question it. So the issue isn't that these strategies existed. It's that they worked so well that they stopped being choices and became our default. To the point that we don't look at them. Like these defaults, they run below our aware levels, our awareness of who we are and what we're doing and the choices we make. And through repetition, they become our identity, right? And the choice is in where we notice it, right? So at some point, all this adaptation becomes who we are, right? This is just how I am. This is where it starts. And you didn't become this man because it was right. You became him because that's what the conditions around you produced. You never got the memo that you could stand down from that. So if every version of you was solving a problem, the next question isn't, what's wrong with me? It's, what problem was I solving and where did that come from? Because again, you didn't adapt in a vacuum. You adapted inside of families, inside of cultures, inside of expectation, inside of dozens of things that were in motion before you showed up. And here's the crazy part. Some of what you're carrying now didn't start with you. It was modeled. Some of it was rewarded. Some of it was simply assumed. You see, that brings us back to that initial question we asked in episode 1. Did you choose this life or did you just default into it? Because we named something uncomfortable. This is working, and that's the problem. You don't just inherit genetics, your eye color, your hair color, your skin color. You inherit social models. You inherit problem-solving skills. You learn how the men around you handle stress by watching them handle it. You learn what responsibility looks like by seeing someone who carried it and who didn't. You learned what love costs, what silence means, what anger looks like, or whether anger is even allowed at all. And these modeling behaviors, we start learning them before we even know what language is. Normal is absorbed from your surroundings. It's not explained. It's not handed to you, right? And none of it requires explanation. It just requires exposure. See, our families pass down their adaptations. Our cultures reward the behaviors that are needed for function. And again, repetition, man. Repetition, it beats intention. And honestly, you didn't just adapt to your problems. You adapted to problems that existed before you were even aware of them. And in some cases, they no longer existed at all. They had been solved before you came along, but they were just, that was someone else's behavior, someone else's repetition, someone else's adaptation. And that's how this is working becomes a trap. That's how inheritance becomes identity. Not because anyone chooses it, because no one stops to question it. So if you're asking how you got here, this is part of the answer. You didn't start from zero. You started from what was already running and being modeled around you. So here's the problem. And this is what most men miss, right? It's that once you see the system, the question stops being, how did I get here? It's, what am I continuing right now? Awareness shifts responsibility. Once you become aware of the question, it's now your responsibility. You don't get responsibility for the things that you inherit. You get responsibility for what you continue, the beliefs, the habits, and the assumptions that are past their expiration dates. You know, I mentioned this before. You can't act on yesterday. You can't control tomorrow. The only place you have agency is right now in this present moment. So I've asked you to look at that question, to think about it, to see where it hits you. And now it's time to look at it a little bit, because some of what you're doing isn't wrong. It's just unnecessary right now, and you've never stopped to realize that. But now that you can see it, you're not allowed to pretend you can't. This action, it doesn't mean overhaul. It doesn't mean confrontation. It doesn't mean blowing up your life and burning everything around you to cinders just to prove that you're serious. Action does not mean chaos. And urgency will recreate old patterns. We're talking precision over force, people. Most men don't fail here because they don't care. They fail because they confuse movement with direction. And movement can be avoidance. Direction requires three things: intent, choice, and desire. Real action, it starts smaller than you think. It starts with noticing where effort's being spent out of habit instead of necessity. Anytime you come across something and it's an automatic response, look at it. Really look at it, because that's not choice. That's adaptation. That's old habits and patterns. It might not be serving for you. See, that for me was what burnout was. It wasn't failure, but it was the minute I finally told myself that I was in a system that I couldn't maintain anymore. And that's the discipline here. It's not force. It's not willpower. It's honest interruption and awareness. When you do this, something really unexpected was going to happen. Your nervous system's going to respond before your circumstances do. What you're feeling there isn't relief from responsibility. It's shedding load that wasn't yours to bear anymore. From here on, the work, it's not heroic, but it's maintainable. And this is how it stops being a fight and starts being direction. But here's the catch. This isn't a one-time insight. It's not a breakthrough you get to ride forever. It's a posture you're going to have to return to time and again, because these insights, they fade without practice. This is about returning, not winning, and recognizing that growth isn't linear. You're going to catch yourself defaulting time and again. I still do. But that doesn't mean you failed. It means the system that's in place right there, it's very well practiced and it's very old. And these defaults, they're strong because they're familiar. And at first, awareness is not going to erase this conditioning. And progress is going to look like catching it sooner rather than not doing it all. Now, the work now isn't dramatic. It's about noticing. It's about asking better questions. It's about interrupting the patterns a little bit faster than you did last time. Drama, that's for ego. Strength is from consistency. And yeah, sometimes you're going to spiral a little bit. But recognize that the earlier you interrupt that, the less it costs you, right? It's like any other skill. It's about building the skill so that the skill becomes automatic and the old system gets replaced. You don't need to dismantle your life. You don't need to confront the entire world around you. And you damn sure don't need to explain yourself to anyone, because you will get questions. As you start doing this, you're going to change. People are going to notice. And these internal shifts, they don't require announcements. You don't have to go on every social media platform and announce what you're doing. In fact, I recommend you don't, because part of those old systems are in the people you surround yourself with. Change doesn't need witness. You are allowed to move in silence. What matters is this. When something feels heavy, when something feels tight, something feels forced, or just the thought of it just drains you, I want you to pause. And I want you to ask yourself, is this necessary? Because your body is going to know this answer already. Your body's going to know long before your brain catches up. That tiredness, that's data. That's your body saying, I'm anticipating what this is going to cost me. I know this pattern. And it's real. That question alone will save you years of unnecessary effort. When something becomes unsustainable, that's not a moral failure. It's a system telling you the truth about the load. And honesty about the load is what allows your nervous system to finally downshift. This, my friends, is how strength matures. Not by carrying more and more, but by accurately seeing what we do need to carry. It's not less masculine to choose accuracy over endurance. You're not going to win an award for tolerating things. Strength, true strength, includes discernment. Is this worth my effort? Or is there a better direction? You don't have to become someone else. You just have to stop living solutions to questions that are no longer being asked. You're not losing yourself. You're not changing your identity. You're updating the context of your life. So, my friends, stay in the work. Not with urgency, but with honesty. I think that's enough for today. If you're feeling quiet right now, that's not disengagement, it's orientation. The only thing I'm going to ask you to carry forward is this question. Did you choose this life? Or did you default into it? And I don't want you to carry forward to answer it yourself, but I want you to notice where life keeps answering it for you. Because that's what we've been talking about for the last 3 episodes. That's what this is about. That's where this story starts. And that's the work right now. It's where we begin. Not fixing yourself because you're not broken. Not proving yourself because you don't need to. Just seeing clearly. And we'll talk about what to do with that next time. Well, that's it for today. Take what's useful. Leave what you've outgrown. Choose and keep moving.